Hello, Year 6, welcome to Wednesday's English lesson. Today we're going to look at analysing the impact of literary features in a text. And our text, again, is going to be trash. So I want you to be able to recognise the literary features we're going to look at today. I want you to be able to retrieve the information from the text, so retrieve those examples of literary features, and explain the impact on the reader of these features. So, first thing we need to know, and these are all on the sheet that you also have for your work at home. So if you want to have the sheet with you whilst we look at this, and as you do the work, it might be worth pausing this to help you with that. So repetition. Repetition is something we came across a lot in our battle cry work. So it involves intentionally using a word or phrase repeatedly, 2 or more times in a speech or a piece of written work, and it's for effect. So repeatedly using a word or phrase. A rhetorical question. A rhetorical question, again, we used in our battle cries, but also we've used in newspaper reports that we've written, is a question asked to create a dramatic effect. It is not one that really requires an answer. The person using the question is making a point and trying to have an impact on somebody. It is not a situation where they're looking for an answer. Word choices. Now, weak word choice creates confusion and can cause work to fall short. What we want you to look for with word choices is where you think a writer has chosen a word for a particular purpose to have a particular impact. And then sentence structures. And I want you to look out for different sentence structures. Now, a good clue there would be to look out for if there's been a colon or a semicolon used. If we're looking for complex sentences, has an additional clause been added to a sentence? So if you've got more than one clause being used and without the use of a coordinating conjunction. Now, this is not necessarily going to be straightforward, and I do understand that knowing what to look for in the text is going to be the tricky thing. But that's why I suggest have the sheet with you as you go through the book, and possibly be paused on this screen if you can, just to help you, just to remind you what to look for, so that you're not trying to go back and search for it once you've read. Read and look out for these things at the same time. Rhetorical questions, you might still get you'll still get a question mark, but it's not necessarily going to need an answer. So read it and think, does the person saying that question, does the author want an answer to that question, or is it to make somebody think? Okay, word choices, look for where you think a word's been carefully chosen. Why have they chosen that word? Is it having an impact? Okay, so think carefully as you look at it. The first thing you're going to do is read part 4, chapter 2. And I want you to think about what are the dangers that the boys are facing, and how does Gardo build tension and excitement in his chapter? So it's told from Gardo's point of view, that chapter. And as you're doing it, go through with this sheet and be looking out for examples of repetition, rhetorical questions, word choices, sentence structures. If you're having any difficulty with any of them, send me a question on Seesaw or Class Dojo, and I'll send you an example that you could use yourself. Okay? When you've done that, then I'm going to read chapters 3 and 4, and I want you to think about how does Raphael continue to keep the reader hooked. So it switches from Gardo to Raphael telling the points of the story here. And I want you to think about what does Raphael do to keep the audience hooked, because that is what these literary features are for. How is Raphael doing that? And again, it's the same table. And as you go, just like you would in a reading test, really, is have that piece of paper with you and go through and check things off as you go. If you see a word used a number of times, that's repetition in the same sort of little phrase, paragraph, let's say, a sentence after another. Look out for examples of these things. And again, if you're unsure, something you could do is research online. There's loads of great websites that help children with understanding different elements of the English curriculum. So have a look for those things. Like I said, if you have any difficulties, please send me a message on Seesaw or Class Dojo, and good luck with the work.